Hi, welcome to Learn with Projects. This is third day of live question answer interview preparation. Today's topic is SQL. First question. What is DDL, DML, TCL and DCL? DDL, Data Definition Language, is used to define the database structure or schema, also used to specify additional properties of the data. The storage structure and access methods used by database system by a set of statements in a special type of DDL called a data storage and definition language. The data values stored in the database must satisfy certain consistency constraints. They are: first, domain constraint. A domain of possible values must be associated with every attribute of, for example, integer types, character types, date or time types. Declaring an attribute to the particular domain acts as constraint on the values that it can take. Second, referential integrity. There are cases when we wish to ensure that a value appears in one relation for a given set of attributes also appear in certain set of attributes in another relation. That is referential integrity. For example, the department listed for each course must be one that actually exists. Third, assertions. And assertions in any condition that database must always satisfy. Domain constraints and integrity constraints are special form of assertions. Authorization. We may want to differentiate among the users as far as the type of access they are permitted on various data values in the dataset. The differentiations are expressed in the terms of authorization. The most common being first read authorization, second is insert authorization, and third is update authorization. Some commands are create, alter, drop, rename. What is DML? DML is data manipulation language. DML statements are used for managing data in schema objects. DML are of two types. First, procedural DMLs. They require a user to specify what data are needed and how to get those data. Second is declarative DMLs, also referred as non-procedural DMLs. They require a user to specify what data are needed without specifying how to get those data. Some commands in DML are select, insert, update, delete. Third, what is TCL? That is Transaction Control Language. Transaction Control Language commands are used to manage transactions in database. They are used to manage the changes made by TML statements. It also allows statements to be grouped together into logical transactions. TCL commands are commit, rollback, save point. TCL, Data Control Language. A data control language is a syntax similar to computer programming language used to control access to data stored in database. Authorization. In particular, it is a component of structured query language, that is SQL. DCL commands are grant and revoke. The operations for which privileges may be granted to or revoked from a user or a role apply to both data definition language and the data manipulation language, and may include connect, select, insert, update, delete, execute, and usage. Understanding utilizing DDL, DML, TCL, and DCL commands are vital for effective database management. These languages collectively enable the creation, modification, deletion of the database structure, facilitate the data manipulation, ensure transaction consistency, and manage user permission, forming the foundation of robust database system. Second question is SQL aggregate function. SQL aggregate functions are the functions the values of multiple rows are grouped as input on certain criteria to form a single value result of more significant meaning. It is used to summarize data by combining multiple values to form a single result. SQL aggregate functions are mostly used with the group by clause of the select statement. SQL aggregate functions with examples are first, count. Count returns the total number of records. Count in the bracket salary returns the number of non-null values over the salary column, that is, so count in the bracket distinct salary. It returns the number of distinct non-null values over the column salary. Second, sum. Sum of salary is sum of all non-null values of the column salary. Sum into the bracket distinct salary. Sum of all distinct non-null values. Third is average. Average in the bracket salary is sum of salary divided by count of salary. And average distinct salary is sum of distinct salary divided by count of distinct salary. Minimum min bracket. Mean salary gives minimum value in the salary column except null. Max bracket. Max salary maximum value in the salary. SQL aggregate functions in SQL operate on the group of values and return a single result. They are often used with group by clause to summarize the grouped data. Aggregate functions operate on non-null values only, except count. Commonly used aggregate functions are mean, max, count, average, sum. Next question is difference between having clause and group by clause. First, having clause is used for applying some extra condition to the query, and group by clause is used to group the data according to particular column or row. Having clause cannot be used without group by clause. Having clause cannot be used without group by clause in aggregate functions. In that case, it behaves like a where clause. But in group by can be used without having clause with the select statement. The having clause can contain aggregate function and group by clause cannot contain aggregate function. Having clause restrict the query output by using some conditions. Group by clause groups the output on the basis of some rows or columns. The group by clause is used to group the data into summary rows based on common values, while having clause is used to filter those groups based on the condition that applies to the aggregate data. By understanding the difference between these two clauses, you can write more powerful SQL queries that extract meaningful insights from your data. Next question. Difference between where and having clause in SQL. First, where clause filters rows before groups are aggregated, and having clause filters groups after the aggregation process. Where clause can be used without group by clause. Having clause can be used with group by clause. Where clause implements a row operation. Having clause implements in column operation. Where clause cannot contain aggregate function. Having clause can contain aggregate function. Where clause can be used with select, update, delete statement, and having clause can only be used with select statement. Where clause is used with single row functions like upper, lower, etc. Having clause is used with multiple row functions like sum, count, etc. While both where and having clauses are used for filtering data in SQL queries, they serve different purposes and applied at the different stages of query execution. Next question. Difference between from and where clause in SQL. First, from clause is used to select the dataset on which manipulation has to be done. Where clause is used for checking some conditions to filter results. From clause, we provide some dataset into the from clause as input. In where clause, we give some conditions as input. From clause selects dataset to provide it to where clause for applying conditions given in the query. Where clause acts as selector which filters required instances from the dataset provided by from clause. From clause is mandatory because if there is no dataset, no manipulation can be formed. Where is optional? We use it in case of condition checking. Next question is difference between order by and group by clause in SQL. First, group by statement is used to group the rows that have the same value, whereas order by statement sort the result set either in ascending or descending order. Group by it may be allowed in create new statements, while order by does not use in create new statements. In select statement, group by is always used before the order by keyword, while in select statement, order by is always used after the group by keyword. An attribute of group by cannot be in group by a statement under the aggregate function. An attribute cannot be in the group by a statement under the aggregate function. Whereas in order by statement, attribute can be under aggregate function. In group by clause, the tuples are grouped based on similarity between the attribute values of tuple. Whereas in order by clause, the result set is sorted based on ascending or descending order. Group by controls the presentation of tuples or rows, while order by clause controls the presentation of columns. Conclusion: understanding how to use group by and order by statements is important for sorting the data and results. Whether you want to organize your data in ascending or descending order, then you have to use order by clause. If you want to organize multiple results under one group, then use group by clause. Input and output parameters. A parameter whose value is given into stored procedure function module is known as input parameter. An input parameter value is fixed. It cannot be modified or reassigned within the module. A parameter whose value is sent out of the store procedure or function module and back to the calling PL or SQL block is known as output parameter. An input parameter can influence the subset of rows it returns from the select statement within it. A calling script can get the value of output parameter. An aggregate function or any computational expression within the store process can be used to determine the value of output parameter. Next is, What is SQL subquery? In SQL, a subquery can be defined as a query embedded within another query. It is often used in where, having, or from clauses of a statement. Subqueries are commonly used with select, update, insert, and delete statements to achieve complex filtering and data manipulation. Key characteristics of subquery are nested structure. First is nested structure. A subquery is executed within the context of an outer query. Second, parenthesis. Subqueries must always be enclosed in parenthesis. Third, comparison operators. Subqueries can be used with operators like comma, greater than, less than, in, not, not in, like, etc. Fourth, single row versus multi-row subquery. Subqueries may return a single value, that is a single row, or multiple values, and common SQL clauses for subquery are where clause, from clause, and having clause. Syntax. There is not any general syntax for subqueries. However, subqueries are seen to be used most frequently with select statement. Subqueries in SQL are an essential tool for performing complex operations efficiently. They allow developers to break down queries into smaller, manageable parts and dynamically retrieve or manipulate data. By mastering single row subqueries, multiple row subqueries, or multi row subqueries and their applications, we can enhance our SQL querying skills. What is window function in SQL? Window function in SQL is a type of function that allows us to perform calculations across a specific set of rows related to the current row. These calculations happen within the defined window of data, and they are particularly used for aggregates, ranking, and cumulative totals without altering the dataset. The over clause is key to defining this window functions. It partitions the data into different sets using partition by clause and orders them using the order by clause. These windows enable functions like sum, average, row number, rank, and dense rank to be applied in the sophisticated manner. Key terms in window function are: first, one window function, any aggregate or ranking function. The column name 1 can be column to be selected. Second is column on which window function is to be applied. Third is column on whose basis partition of rows is to be done. Fourth, name of the column, name of the new column. And fifth, name of the table. Types of window functions in SQL are: SQL window functions can be categorized into two primary types: aggregate window functions and ranking windows function. First, aggregate windows function. These functions allows us to perform aggregate operations across a set of rows within the defined window while still retaining the detail level data. Common aggregate window functions include sum, average, count, max, mean. We have seen these explanations in before questions. Second is ranking window functions. These functions provide ranking of rows within a partition based on specific criteria. Common ranking functions include: first is rank. As the name suggests, the rank function assigns rank to all rows within every partition. Rank is assigned such as rank 1 given to the first row and row having same value are assigned the same rank. For the next rank after two same rank values, one rank value will be skipped. For instance, if two rows share rank 1, the next row gets rank 3 and not 2. Dense rank. It assigns rank to each row within partition. Just like rank function, first row is assigned rank 1 and the rows having same value have same rank. Difference between rank and dense rank is that dense rank for the next rank after two same rank, consecutive integer is used and no rank is skipped. Row number. Row number gives each row a unique number. It numbers rows from 1 to the total rows. Rows are put into groups based on their values. Each group is called partition. In each partition, rows get numbers one after another. No two rows have the same number in the partition. SQL window functions are crucial feature for advanced data analysis and provide flexibility when working with the partition data. By mastering over clause, partition by and order by, we can perform complex calculations like aggregate calculations, ranking and cumulative totals while preserving the low-level data. Using these window functions SQL features, we can perform advanced data analysis tasks with ease. Next question is, what are lead and lag functions in SQL? The lag function is used to get value from the row that precedes the current row. And the lead function is used to get values from rows that succeeds the current row. The lead and lag functions in MySQL are essential for performing sequential data analysis, making it easier to access previous or next rows without complex joins. Whether you are comparing trends, detecting gaps, or monitoring progressions, these functions simplify query writing and enhance performance. What is partition by clause? Partition by clause is used to partition rows of tables into groups. It is used when we have to perform calculations on individual rows of a group using other rows of that group. It is always used inside over clause. The partition formed by partition clause are also known as window. This clause works on window functions only, like rank, lead, lag, etc. If this clause is omitted in over clause, then whole table is considered as a single partition. Case statements in SQL. The case statement in SQL is a conditional expression that allows you to perform conditional logic within a query. In commonly used to create new columns based on conditional logic, provides custom values, control queries output based on certain conditions. If no condition is true, then the else part will be executed. If there is no else part, then it returns null. Important points about case statements. The SQL case statements is a conditional expression that allows for the execution of different queries based on specified conditions. There should always be select in the case statement. And else is an optional component, but when then these cases must include in this case statement. We can make any conditional statement using any conditional operator like where, between when and then. This includes stringing together multiple conditional statements using and or. We can include multiple when statements and an else statements to counter with under rest conditions. Conclusion is the case statement provides a robust mechanism for incorporating conditional logic in SQL queries. By using these statements, you can handle various conditions and customize the output of your queries effectively. Next, in SQL, what is not null operator and what is null operator. SQL is not null operator is logical operator. We use this operator to check if a row has a non-empty value in a particular column. In short, we use this operator to detect not null values. If a check column has a null value for a particular row, then this operator will return false. This operator works just opposite of the null operator is null operation in the SQL. This operator generally works where clause. To summarize this in short, we use the is not null operator to select those rows that have some data present. The is null operator. The is null operator in SQL is used to check whether a given value or expression is null. It indicates the absence of a value or that a value is underdefined. This operator is crucial for SQL and SQL as it helps identify the records with missing data in the database columns. Next question is relational and transactional data models. The difference between relational and transactional data models. As per data structure, relational model organized into tables with rows and columns, and transactional models use tables but focus more on recording and managing transactions. Data integrity aspect. Relational model emphasizes data integrity through constant, that is primary keys and foreign keys. Transactional model prioritize the transactional and correctness and reliability. Flexibility aspect. Relational models are highly flexible for querying and retrieving data using SQL. Supports complex queries and joins. Transactional model designed for real-time transaction processing. Data consistency aspect. Relational model utilizes ACID transaction, that is atomicity, consistency, isolation and durability to ensure data consistency and reliability. Transactional model supports ACID transactions for ensuring transaction correctness. Normalization aspect. Relational model often employs normalization techniques to minimize the data redundancy and maintain integrity. Transactional model focus more on recording transactions so that data may be denormalized for efficiency. Real-time processing aspect. Relational models primarily used for data storage and retrieval, not optimized for real-time transaction processing. Transactional model designed for real-time transactional activities, that is online transaction and reservations. Concurrency control aspect. Relational models may handle concurrent access to data but not the primary focus. Transactional model employs techniques like locking and concurrency control to manage concurrent transaction effectively. So that is it. Today we covered the basic and advanced SQL concepts. In next session we will cover basics and advanced about machine learning supervised part. Thank you.